In 1963, a man in central Turkey knocked down a wall in his basement and accidentally opened a doorway into something that should not exist. Beneath his house, descending 18 levels and nearly 280 feet into solid rock, was a city, not a cellar, not a tomb. A city built to hold 20,000 people, with ventilation shafts, wells, stables and stone doors weighing half a ton that could only be sealed from the inside. And across the region around it, more than 200 of these underground cities are now known, capable together of hiding tens of thousands of people from the surface world. The mystery was never how they lived down there. The mystery is what they were so terrified of up here. The place is called Derinkuyu, carved into the soft volcanic rock of the Cappadocia region in modern Turkey. Walk through it today, and the scale is hard to hold in your mind. Churches, schools, wine and oil presses, communal kitchens, livestock pens, storage rooms deep enough to feed a population for months. More than 50 ventilation shafts pierce the rock, some of them doubling as wells, so the people inside never had to surface even for water. The deepest passages sit nearly 280 feet below the Anatolian plateau. This was not a panic room. This was a permanent world built underground, designed by people who understood that one day the surface might not be survivable. And here is the detail that historians tend to mention quickly and move past. The massive circular stone doors, some weighing close to 500 kilograms, were engineered to roll into place and seal each level individually. But they could only be operated from the inside. Think about what that means. You do not build a door that locks only from within to keep out a tax collector or a passing patrol. You build that door when whatever is coming must never, under any circumstances, be allowed to follow you down. Mainstream archaeology dates the major construction to the Phrygians and the early Christians who later hid from Roman and Arab armies. That explanation is real. But some of the lowest chambers appear far older than those conflicts, and the question of who first started digging and why has never been fully answered. To understand what these people might have feared, you have to read the oldest written warnings on Earth. The Sumerians, the first true civilization, left us thousands of clay tablets, and one of them describes a catastrophe that reads nothing like ordinary war. It is called the Lament for Ur, composed around 4,000 years ago, and it repeatedly names an invisible force the scribes called the evil wind. According to the text, the gods Anu and Enlil refused to spare the city. Enlil called the storm, took the good winds from the land, and deputed evil winds in their place. The people lay in heaps. The city was filled with silence. The land was leveled as if by a wind that destroyed everything it touched. What is strange is what the enemy is not. The tablet never describes a conquering king. It never names an invading nation marching through the gates. The destruction simply arrives from above, through the air, and the people die where they stand. Read it as an ancient poet describing a plague or a sandstorm, and it makes a kind of sense. But read it alongside a city carved 18 levels into the rock, sealed by doors that lock from the inside, and a darker possibility opens up. What if these were not separate stories? What if they were the same fear, recorded two different ways, one in clay, one in stone? And the Sumerians did not stop at the evil wind. Other Mesopotamian texts, like the Era epic, describe a period when civilization itself was nearly wiped out by weapons associated with the heavens and destruction that fell from the sky. The Epic of Gilgamesh preserves a flood so total that even the gods are said to have cowered in fear. Every one of these accounts shares the same shape: cities emptied, skies turned hostile, survivors driven into hiding. These were the most advanced people of their age, the ones who gave us writing, mathematics, and astronomy, and they kept returning to the same memory, a time when the surface of the world became something to escape. If you are finding this as unsettling as I do, take a second and subscribe, because I dig into the buried side of ancient history every single week, the records that don't fit the comfortable version we were taught. Now, here is where the ground really shifts beneath us. There may be a physical reason behind all of it, Geologists have confirmed that around 12,900 years ago, the Earth was struck by a sudden and violent climate collapse, known as the Younger Dryas. Temperatures plunged, ecosystems failed, and entire populations were forced to adapt almost overnight. A growing number of researchers argue the trigger was cosmic, fragments of a comet or asteroid striking the planet, throwing up debris, darkening the sky, and scorching the land. If anything close to that happened while humans watched, it would not stay in the history books. It would survive the only way knowledge survived back then: as story, as warning, as a wind that came from the heavens and killed. Now hold the two halves of this together. On one side, the oldest civilization on Earth, insisting across multiple separate tablets that destruction once came down from the sky and emptied the world. On the other side, tens of thousands of people in the Anatolian highlands carving permanent cities into the rock, with air shafts for months of hiding and doors that seal only from within. A refuge that large is not built for a battle that lasts a few days. It is built for surviving something that makes the surface of the planet itself the enemy. So the question that connects the clay and the stone is the same one historians are still uneasy about today. Were these people hiding from human armies, the way the textbooks tell us? Or were they hiding from the same thing their ancestors swore had already ended the world once before? The underground cities still exist. You can walk through them. The tablets still exist. You can read the translations yourself. What no one can tell you for certain is whether the people who built Derinkuyu were running from an enemy they could see, or finishing a job their grandfathers started, preparing for the return of something that came, the last time, from the sky.